Okay, so now that you understand what all of this is and where it's coming from, and that it's not something that I'm just conjuring up, but that it's actually biblical, um, the thing that's just really amazing is how all of these events, all of these alignments with these scriptures seem to tie into major holidays, Jewish holidays, um, and also major events that are happening. So I think the first thing that really got me was when Moses ascended into the mountain of God exactly on December 21st, 2012, and then comes down at the for the last time on Passover of 2013. I thought that was really interesting. Because so many people had talked about ascension on the 21st of December. So I just thought that was bizarre because that scripture literally says, and Moses ascended into the mountain of God. And then the other thing where we actually had an event that matched up was when Moses came down on this timeline, came down after 40 days and saw the Israelites worshiping the golden calf, which represents the golden bull on Wall Street. And they were worried about that fiscal cliff issue on that day, on that very day when Moses descended. And then when Moses descended for the second 40 days, it represented a revealing. And that was when he had the veil over his face and everything. And that was when the Pope made the announcement that that he would be resigning. And so he's the seventh king. Pope Benedict is the seventh king. So the next king would be the eighth, and the eighth king is the beast. Again, I've discussed that in my other videos. Check the links below this video, and there's a lot of information. But we also had on the 5th of February, we had an 8-point quake, and that landed on atonement on this timeline, and also the 10th day of Nisan on this timeline, so when the lamb was brought into the house. And then yet again, we had another event on the 15th of February, which was the passing by of that asteroid that occurred on the 7th day of Passover. So I thought that was interesting because literally a celestial object passing over on the 7th day of Passover. So I thought that was pretty bizarre. And that was also the 7th day of Sukkot right here. So I can show you that on the calendar as well. So this is February right here. This is the full moon right here. So that starts the next month according to a couple of the timelines. And here we have this 8-point quake right in the middle of atonement and the bringing in of the lamb, because the day starts on the evening of this day until the evening of this day. Then we had the first day of Passover right here in the evening of this day until the evening of this day. And the 7th day of Passover right here in the evening of the 15th until the evening of the 16th. And right here on February 11th. So the next watch period could be something, maybe, something will occur the 18th or the 25th. But I mean, it's not the 7-day, the story that has to deal with waiting 7 days and 7 more days is the story of Noah. So it's not actually the story of Moses. So, I mean, something might not happen on these days, or then maybe something will. I don't really know, but that's kind of a soft watch, I guess I would call, because I don't really know if that really means anything since it doesn't really go along with the story. But then we know that after this 40 days, we had events that happened after 7 days and 7 more days. So who knows? Maybe it'll be something small, or I don't know. But the next watch period would be March 11th and 12th, which would be the second time that Moses ascends. So on this timeline down here, which had to do with just him ascending on December 21st, 2012. So that's the teal colored timeline. I color-coded all of this in this chart. So here's March 11th and 12th, and this is that timeline. Moses descends for the second time right here. And actually, Moses descends on the 12th, but the new moon is on the 11th, and the first crescent is on the 12th, and then 7 more days would be the 19th, and 7 more days would be the 26th, which is the first day of Passover. So he ascended for the first time on this timeline on December 21st, and then comes down for the final time on March 12th, and then 7 days and 7 more days lands on the first day of Passover. And that's standard Passover right there. That purple colored date right there is the standard Jewish calendar. So then in March, I've been talking about this for like a year, is this 3-day period in March that just is unbelievable. I mean, it's right in between these 1,260-day periods. So we had from the time that Obama won the Peace Prize until March 22nd is 1,260 days, and then from March 20th to August 31st is 1,260 days, which is right before this solar and lunar eclipse. So there's a 3-day window that overlaps those two 1,260-day periods. So this 3-day window right here is just probably the biggest watch date I've ever seen in my life. And I know that there's several other people who have been talking about this time period for a long time for different reasons, or slightly different. They come at it from a slightly different angle, but all of these different people are kind of merging in on this time period. So if something amazing doesn't happen, I don't know. I probably won't even continue doing this kind of study anymore, because this is such a huge event, this is such a huge watch date. But I think Obama is actually scheduled to go to Jerusalem during this time period right here. And I don't really know which day, whether it's the 20th or the 21st, but yeah, that's a pretty big period right there that is a watch period for the rapture and the tribulation. And then we have after that we have again the first day of Passover lining up with the first day of Sukkot, and also the last 7-day period on this timeline. And then the 7th day of Passover is lining up with Easter. So Easter is right here, and that is the 7th day of Passover on the standard calendar. And it's also the 7th day of Sukkot on this orange timeline up here, right here. And it also lines up with, with Easter. So that's also Easter. So that's interesting. And then in April, we have our final lineup according to these 3 major fulfillments. If you count 7 months from August, you end up at the end of January. And then if you count 7 months from September, you go to February, and then 7 months from October would go to like March or April. So I don't even look at anything past April, but this is what April looks like as far as the lineups or the alignments, I guess. So like I said, I don't know whether anything is going to happen on these dates. I mean, none of us can know for sure, but it's definitely a huge, huge, huge watch period right here in March. And then just to cover these double lunar eclipses that are in 1949, 1950, 1967, and 2014. I've talked about this in some of my other videos. That's Mark Biltz that came out with that discovery years ago. And he talks about the lunar tetrads. And he says, and I haven't actually researched this, so I don't know for sure, but he says that there are lunar eclipses on both the Jewish holiday of Passover and Sukkot on both of these years, 1949 and 1950. And the year before this event, there was that huge event for the Jews. All of these Jews moved back to Israel. And then I have on my grand timeline, I don't have it on this computer, but there's several other lunar tetrads just like this that landed on eclipses that landed on Passover and Sukkot. And it was always, the pattern always seemed to be that the year before the lunar eclipses was the year of the event. And so that's why I thought that that the year before 2014 something might happen. That's just more confirmation that maybe the year of the event is actually in 2013, since the pattern seems to indicate that the year before these lunar tetrads there's an event. The only exception to that is 1967, and again you'd have to go look at that other grand timeline that I made. But the only other exception to that is 1967, when it occurred on the same year, and that was the year of the Six-Day War. So it looks, according to the pattern, it looks like it would happen the year before, but it might happen on the same year. So either 2013 or 2014. And but it's looking more like it's 2013 to me. But you know, that's just my opinion. So that's pretty much it. I hope that you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.